We all make mistakes in life and in marriage. And as husbands and wives, we often make different types of mistakes. But before we get into all that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, motherhood, and everything in between. And we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And to make sure you're not a stranger, make sure you press that subscribe button below and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. One of the things that I think is so important here on my channel when I coach different wives and wives to be in my own life is to show the reality, be transparent and authentic in what I share and how I share it. And often that is so important because while we can always get more tips and tools and show kind of like, the things to do, we often don't always talk about the things that we don't do right or the things that have went wrong. And I know in a previous video, I shared some of the common mistakes wives make, including this wife in particular. I have made them all, and I probably will make them again at some point in time because, life happens. You try your best and you try to do things the best way you should, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. So I decided, I was like, you know what? Since we're talking about wives and mistakes we make, we should always get another opinion or another side. So I invited my husband Eric here to share with us some common mistakes that husbands often make.
A common mistake that husbands can make is forgetting about those little things or not prioritizing the little things that make your wife feel special. I have learned over the years, when you talk about love languages and the things that matter towards your wife, delivering on her love language and not your own is really what's most important, right? So for an example, my wife likes gifts. I'm usually pretty good about the little things. Cards, other little trinkets or something that she likes. Could be some type of food she likes to eat. And so these things that kind of go out of the way, but let her know that she was thought about. And at some point in time, I made some small sacrifice to go out and to do something that would please her, right? Here recently, I have discovered that she's not a big fan of red roses, right? And it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I've been buying you red roses. I got you red roses the very first date we ever had, and you told me they were beautiful.
That was 20 years ago.
Right?
That first date.
So, in the midst of that, right, brings me to another common mistake that us husbands make, that where we hear but we don't listen. And that is an area in which we continuously have to grow. And so for me, thinking about those flowers as an example, it's the fact that she doesn't like red roses. So you can continue to buy flowers, you can continue to get different types of roses, right? Roses come in all different kind of colors, right? And so for me, it's reading the cues over the years to where she said, "Oh, okay, thank you," or it's a soft, the acknowledgement that folks give you is kind of a obligatory gratitude, thank you. There's not really one that's heartfelt, and receiving a couple of those, and my antenna is not necessarily catching the.
And now I need to stop here. First off, I give clear, heartfelt gratitude. I am grateful that he did go out of his way to buy me flowers. So it is very heartfelt. And when I do accept them or anything for that matter, because I do like stuff, I like things. I'm like, okay, thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. I feel the love and thought and care in it. However, then later, at some point in time, not that day, because I'm also mindful of his feelings as well, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't particularly care for red roses. They're nice. That's a cue. That's one of those, all right, maybe I should switch it up. Or I'll buy myself flowers and I'll be like, oh, babe, look at these. There's I like flowers like this. I have said that many times over the last 15 years of marriage of different things. So it's so important that for wives, for us to remember that sometimes, yes, our husbands hear us, but they're not always listening.
And we require explicit instructions at times.
And repeat instructions at times. So
Hey,
that's where grace comes in. And that's where we have to find the balance between repeating and nagging. And that's sometimes a fine line that we dance over, come on, depending upon the situation.
yeah.
So being mindful that that is also something that they can grow in. Just because it's a common mistake doesn't mean that's where they always stay. Just like with the common mistakes we make as wives, we don't always stay there or continue to repeat those mistakes. But when we do, there's grace necessary.
Yes, indeed. Being an optimistic person, another common mistake for me is guesstimating time. For whatever reason, I'll admit it, it doesn't bother me. But for example, if a task is to take, I don't know, 30 minutes true, I'm going to tell myself and probably other people along the way 15, 20 minutes. Why do I do that? I really don't know. Other than the fact that it actually probably keeps me hopeful and optimistic that I actually might achieve that 30-minute target in 15 to 20 minutes, whatever it is. However, the problem with that is even for the psychological benefits it may provide me, it creates unmet expectations and creating irritation for other individuals who are involved, especially my wife.
Yes. And I have learned to take his guesstimate and double it. He says, all right, babe, I'll be done in 15 minutes. I say, okay. All right. I know 30 minutes is the minimum. And usually I give some grace with that, 30 to 45 minutes. So in reverse, I also, when I need something to happen in a certain time, I give him like updates. Like, all right, we need to, go in like 15 minutes. 5 minutes will pass. All right, about 10 minutes. All right, babe, we need to be out of here in 5 minutes. Usually at that mark, then I hear the feet coming down the stairs. Because for the first two, warning calls.
We have more than enough time.
No,
Have no fear.
according to the person who is okay with not being on time.
I'm on time. I'm punctual.
For everything all the time?
No. So there's so that probably is another rub that creates common mistakes. Don't get it twisted. I'm punctual for the professional matters that things
Yes,
that need.
work.
But if I feel as if there's latitude or grace in there, I will flex on that. But for someone who's very punctual, that can be problematic to where my guesstimates can throw things off. So I guess the lesson in all of this is giving grace where it's needed, but at the same time, come on, fellas, let's tighten up on our time expectations. I'm going to hit you with a classic common mistake here. Comes to giving directions or knowing where you're going. I hate to admit it. I've got a pretty good average, though, I think, in terms of getting it right. However, when you don't know where you're going, I think it's a definition. It's like probability versus precision. Precisely. I know something is about over here. I've been there once or twice. It's approximately here or there. And I'm okay operating within that space. However, again, my wife here needs to know the exact time. What is the address? What is the location? Let me punch it in to your phone versus my position. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. We'll get there in time.
Yeah. And how much time are we going to get there? Are we going to take more time than it would have taken if we actually knew where we were going? And the whole guesstimation, it's about here. What does that mean exactly? I don't go anywhere that's about. I have somewhere to be. It has a defined address. So it is this place. It's not about this. And that's one thing that I've also had to learn with his time estimates. When he says when he gives me it's about here, I'm just going to punch it in because I know he is not 100% sure that we will actually get to that location in a direct manner. We might have to take a few extra turns and all that I'm not interested in. We already probably are running behind because we've guesstimated our time incorrectly. So I'm not about to add more time to the location. And also, not just talking about actual physical directions, knowing where you're going as a man and for our marriage is also important.
Yeah, we need that vision, fellas. You got to dial it in, lock it in. Your wives desire and want to be led. So, in order to lead effectively, you actually have to know where you're going. And so, I will say this in the context of the physical address. If I have never been there before at all, I will leverage as much information that I can get for precise direction. However, if there is some history or familiarity with the situation, I thus now have confidence and belief that I can arrive to the same destination once again.
But I don't have the confidence and the belief because he is about sure where this is. So what I'm not going to do is let you have me just driving to about a place. Also, as a wife, I don't know or want to know about where you want us to go in our marriage, about what you want to do with your career. What is the direction? Realizing that we don't always hit that direction in life with, goals and missions. Sometimes we go in another direction. Sometimes God leads us into a different direction. Sometimes the vision that we first had may not be the vision that we end up with in the end. However, we do need to know where we are going. In order for me, from a wife's perspective, in order for my husband to be a good servant leader of our home, he needs to be leading me somewhere that makes some sense, that has some direction. Will it be perfect? No, because he's not, and I'm not expecting him to. So I get when, okay, this was the vision, and we're kind of going along, and it's just not looking how we want it to. That's okay. When it's, vision and life leading, that's not okay if we're driving in a car and we supposed to be going east and we going west. But in life, sometimes you do start off east and God redirects you because you're supposed to be going west or whatever, recalculating, because God does that. So it's so important that as wives, we can trust in our husband's directions, both physical directions and life. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, what's a common mistake that your husband makes? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you press the subscribe button below and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now until we see you again, bye.
Peace.